Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Queen of TV channel. Now, some quick things before we get into our intro. Firstly, please watch the video to the very end and do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Second, there will be cursing and profanity. If that's not your cup of tea, this channel's not for you. Lastly, I'll be giving my honest opinion about the episode and the show as a whole. So, without further ado, let's get into our intro. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, the Queen herself, and you are the Prince and Princesses. You're either a subscriber or you are a viewer. Either way, welcome. Today we're talking about H2O Season 3, Episode 5, Big Ideas. We start off this episode with Cleo swimming in the water, and she is captured by the tentacle. This is obviously a nightmare. When Cleo wakes up, she lets Lewis know what happened. And Lewis is saying that he's going to get to the bottom of this, that he's going to help her out. But she tells him that not him, but we. Basically meaning her and him. He says no, he can do this. And she says, Lewis, I want to help. So because there's a lot going on back and forth, I'm just going to talk about their plot real quick. So they go to Mako Island where Lewis is setting up cameras. And he ends up setting up this camera where he can watch what happens on the next full moon. And, well, we'll talk about that when we get there. Cleo and him decide that they're going to test the water from the rock itself and try to figure out what's wrong with it. Well, they get frustrated because they don't find out anything because it's just regular water. Cleo suggests that maybe she should ask Will, and Lewis says no, he can figure this out. Well, we'll talk about Will's side plot, but right now we're going to talk about him within theirs. Cleo invites Will to her house where she invites him to dinner to try to butter him up to see if he'll tell her anything. Before he can, Lewis shows up. He confronts Cleo, who tells him that she needs to figure this out and that she's able to convince him to give Will a shot. Now, they shoo Kim away after she's talking to Will about some nonsense. Hell, she even tried to tell Lewis that maybe he should be jealous because Will's pretty cute. Will explains his story again, and within his story, they find out that the water from the waterfall was actually being shot into, not whatever shot you think I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual water. That it was being thrown into the water and it formed a tentacle. So Cleo and Lewis are able to get Will to leave after he tells his story, and this is when they realize they figured it out. So they later on the next day decide to combine the water from the waterfall and the water from the moon pool, and bam, it turns into a tentacle. Matter of fact, that thing is worming through the air, and for some reason, it's not attacking them. Lewis says it must be in a dominant state, meaning that it's only going to react if all three girls are there and if they're closer to it. Also, it's not a full moon, so that's why it's not acting out. So, Cleo and Lewis celebrate their victory and a job well done. Now, let's get into the subplot that Will gets caught up into. Zane decides with his big brain that he should do a motocrossing competition to try to raise money for the cafe. Ricky tells Zane this is a bad idea and that they should focus on the cafe and the band, but he has already invested the money into the new bikes. Hell, he's even providing bikes for the people who do an entry fee. He announces in the Juice Snack Cafe, Nate is also involved in this. He knows exactly how this is going to work. Zane says that he's entering the competition himself. Nate asks about the entry fee. Zane says it costs $200 to get in. And the winner of the competition gets $1,000 prize. This is bad investment. This is stupid. That was a terrible idea. But he thinks it's a good idea, right? So he even says that Will should compete. Will, who he had a little small spat with a couple of seconds ago when Will accidentally bumped into one of the bikes. Bella told Will to just ignore Zane. Will said that he can't afford the entry fee, but Zane brushes that off. And Will said he doesn't even have a bike, but that's when Zane says that they're being provided with the bikes. Which, I mean, you gotta be kidding me. How much money did you spend on these damn bikes? Bella decides she wants to help Will out and says that she'll help pay for the entry fee because he can't because he's saving money for new diving gear. He tries to tell her that she doesn't have to do that, but she says that she wants to because they are friends. And she asks him if they are friends, and he says, yeah, they're friends. She even asks him if he knows how to ride. Well, we find out that he does because after Ricky is in the office looking at the paperwork and everything, Zane asks her what she's doing, and she spells it out for him. She loves to read, and what she's figured out is that they are not financially stable enough to do this. That this is actually a terrible investment because they already in debt virtually. He tells her he knows he's doing. He's from a business type family. He's been motocrossing for years. He's going to win. So basically, he's going to win the $1,000, and there's no way they're going to give $1,000 out. Rick and him obviously argue about this, and she tells him that just because I have never been a person with money does not mean that I don't know that this is a stupid idea. So obviously she's still mad at him when Will gives his entry fee. Now him and Nate tried to pick on Will a little bit and ask him if he actually knows how to ride, not like real bikes, not like mini bikes. And he tells him no. In all them years that his parents have traveled, he has rode from the mountains to the fucking Indies. He's a fucking pro. And has been one since these fuckers still had bikes with training wheels. He's been on motocrossing bikes since early childhood. Not childhood, early childhood. So he knows what he's doing. He's been on the mountains. He's been on the steep lanes. This boy's got game. Yeah, Zane knows they're fucked. He tells Nate he has to win this. And so with Nate's little brain, he says that with me on your side, we are definitely gonna win. They're gonna cheat. And Nate must be feeling himself because he starts bragging and dropping subtle hints. And Ricky picks on it real quick and realizes they planning on cheating. They're planning on making sure that something would happen to Will to make him not win. And she confronts Zane about it. And she lets it slip to Zane that Nate don't know how to keep no secret. And Zane said whatever Nate said was rubbish. So we get to the motocrossing competition. And guess what? They are cheating their asses off. They are basically preventing him from getting past, from going inside. Mm-mm. No, get out. Shut my door. So you know how they do in race car driving. If you ever seen the BL Pit Babe where they would use a car to block the other car and prevent it from getting past to get the one car that's in front on their team, then you know what they're doing. So basically, Bella and Ricky done hatched a plan because Bella shows up and she ends up using her powers on one of the water puddles to make it to complete jelly. And guess what happened? Nate rides right into that thing. And remember what I told you when I first talked about her powers in the first episode that hers is so hard that Lewis had to break it apart and he was struggling a little bit? That motherfucker jarred that damn bike so bad he flipped. Remember how Nate flipped Lewis on his neck in episode 23 of season 2? Yeah, that's how Nate's neck got flipped. He was in a neck brace at the end of this episode. That's what he get. So now Zane is in hot water because Will is kicking up in the race. And they are neck and neck. And guess what? Will wins. Zane tries to talk his way out of this because he can't afford it. And him and Nate Nate obviously got humbled. So Will realizes that Zane never intended to pay for anything, saying he's a fraud, he's cheap and all that. And they almost get into a big argument and fight. But Ricky intervenes with Will's 1,000 grand prize. Wonder how they came up with the money. Zane told her, well, great job, we're broke, as if it's her damn fault. And he leaves, sulking. So back at the Juice Net Cafe, back at Ricky's place, she's auctioning off them damn bikes, because them things ain't no good profit. And it was a bunch of new customers in there, and she already told Zane that she already did it once he shows up, and she explains it to him, because he's trying to stop it. She tells him that they'll raise the money, but they ain't got enough, but they'll figure it out, pay it back, and then they'll get themselves out of the hole with the cafe and the band. And he said, okay, reluctantly. Will pays Bella back her $200. She wants to refuse, but he insists. And before they can start their song, she asks Nate if he's okay, and he says, I'm fine. Because he's embarrassed. And they began to play the best song I have ever liked in this show. This song they played in this episode was my number one favorite song. That thing is amazing. They rocked out. And that's how they ended the episode. So let's talk about it. Zane knew damn well it was a bad investment. What was he thinking? Seriously. He really thought that it was a good idea. A good idea. To sit there and create this motocrossing competition of them riding these damn bikes in this dirty, steep neck of the woods. Looks like that motocrossing place that they had back in season 2, episode 3, where him and Nate were training it. And thought if you had everybody pay $200, you could cheat your way in, right? And keep your $1,000. Why didn't you just have an entry fee for people to just come into the cafe? That makes more sense. Why would you do this? All you can do is just have people say, hey, you want to come in the Juice Net Cafe? It's $12. That's not hard. But the idea that you thought it was a smart idea to do this behind Ricky's back, because he already paid for these bikes. He even put down some real fucking money. Money they did not have, mind you. They already in damn debt. And I didn't even know they went in debt that damn quick. So it looks like this place ain't making that much money. And as a result, you still lost. But you lost because your girlfriend had to pull a fast one on you because you were trying to cheat. And ain't no telling what you and Nate would have done to the boy just to prevent him from winning. And you had the nerve to get mad at her. This was your dumbass idea. The moment that you knew you couldn't beat Will, you resorted to cheating. And it's good to know that it was actually Zane's fault. Now, before I finish that, I understand that a lot of you say that it's Cleo's fault for why her and Charlotte had beef. But let it mind you, Cleo was the bigger person and left the girl alone. Charlotte insisted continuing this feud. My issue with feuds itself is not that who started it. It's who's willing to keep it going. If someone is desperate enough to fight you, they'll keep antagonizing you. So even though Cleo did that to what she did to Charlotte, she didn't continue the feud. Charlotte did. Because she's the one that continued making it an issue. Now, for Zane and Will, that was Zane. Zane started and kept going. And I don't understand why. Like, Will's never done anything to him. Like, I understood why I was okay with, like, Cleo not liking Charlotte, because Charlotte liked that damn girl's boyfriend. I wasn't finna overlook that while they were still together before they broke up. It doesn't matter that she didn't try nothing with him. The fact that she was infatuated with somebody else's man is ridiculous. But with Zane and Will, Will has never met Zane. Will has never said two words to Zane. Zane just automatically was an ass to him and try to show off for no reason. And Will has never said anything to this guy. They've never met. This was the first time they ever met, and he was the asshole the whole time. And kudos to Ricky for, like, calling it for what it was. Zane is being ridiculous. And the fact that I'm glad that she helped Will win, because he should have rightfully won the beginning, I tip my hat to her and Bella, and I'm glad that Bella is actually supporting Will. Still don't understand why people don't like their relationship. It just does not make any sense. She's like literally supporting him. She sees the good in him. She's actually connected with him. She's getting to know him. Like, damn, I just feel like people were so mad that Ricky and Zane didn't work out that they try to ship her with Will just to make themselves feel better. Like, I'm sorry, but I feel like that's the case. Now, with Cleo and Lewis, this Scooby Doo idea of theirs was nice to watch. Because, to be honest, it's good to see Cleo and Lewis actually working together. I hate that they didn't give it to us till season 3. But at least it just shows you that Cleo isn't completely stupid like people are probably trying to make it out to be. That she actually is interested in this kind of stuff. Like I said, not all girly girls are like that. And to be fair here, Cleo's idea of talking to Will was a smart idea. Lewis did not want to do it, but Cleo's idea actually worked out because they figured out how the tentacle even gets formed on the full moon. And that would have never happened if Cleo hadn't utilized Will. I do feel bad for him though that he had to sit there and listen to Kim complain and talk and gush over him when, Lord have mercy, that boy is 18. That dude is 5 years older than her. Could you have imagined? So what do I think of this episode? For some reason I'm not finding one unlikable episode from season 3, but then I remembered it wasn't until like late into it, like right after the smackdown of the middle, was I started having problems. But I think most of my problems was to do with Zane's behavior and Sophie, not necessarily the episodes themselves. Because now that I've sat and thought on it, that I realized that's the issue. But Zane getting humbled like this in this episode is what makes this episode good. Instead of just letting him get away with his shenanigans. So we'll just have to see. But that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys have a blessed day. I hope you have a wonderful day. And if no one told you this today, I'm telling you, I love you. I will see you guys in the next video. So until then, bye guys.